it's really important to understand the chemistry and biology of sex as well,
Mm. Tell me
right?
more about that. I think our listeners need to know about the chemistry and biology of
Yeah,
sex.
they do. Absolutely. Because it is a very physical experience, right? It has
Yeah.
to do with hormones and endorphins and all these chemicals flowing through our body that create the sexual experience, both kind of the physical sexual experience, but also the emotional connection that we experience in that moment, right? And so understanding all those pieces, understanding how the man's body works different than the female body in terms of that, what it looks like in terms of arousal and getting to climax and all of those pieces is extremely important. And that's a part of that generosity, right?
Yeah.
If sex is about me and my experience, I just got to know my body, right? If sex is about nurturing our relationship, fostering connection, and caring for the other person, then I need to know them. I need to know us, right? All of those different pieces. And so, but again, for most people, we did not get a lot of education about the biology, the chemistry of sex growing up. And so that's a really important piece to add in, I think, as you're learning to reintegrate sexually. And then that helps you adapt as, right, your body experiences changes, women hit menopause, things like that. You can better understand how is this now affecting my body sexually, and how does that change how we engage sexually?
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think one of the things that we've also found helpful is to be very careful around stereotypes, especially around sexuality.
Yeah.
Sexuality, there are definitely some tendencies, but there is a lot of individuality when it comes to sex. And so one of the common tropes that you will hear out there is that men want sex all the time and women never want sex, and or somewhere along that spectrum. When you actually look at sex drives, they're fairly equal between males and females. There's not a huge discrepancy in sex drives, especially when there's healthy sex involved. As sex becomes unhealthy, men's sex drives do not tend to decrease as much as women's do.
And we've tended to see unhealthy sex favoring the man's experience, which makes sense why then they would desire it more than the female.
It's also the case that there are a number of males who have lower sex drives or have kind of a less high sex drive, can even have a lower sex drive than their female partner, which can be very confusing for them because that may say, okay, wait, is there something wrong with me? Because I desire this less often or less frequently in the way my partner does. We also express love differently. Some people express love predominantly through physical touch. That can be male or female. And so all of these things are kind of going into this soup, both for kind of each of us individually and for us as a couple. And I think if we just go kind of read one book on sex and think, okay, this has answered all of our questions, we'll know everything we've ever wanted to know about sex, we won't. We really have to get to know our sex life. And I think the gift of monogamy is I don't need to know anyone else's sex life but ours. I don't have to understand anybody else's sex life. I just need to understand ours. I need to understand our physical intimacy, right? Our biology, how we work together, how, like Joanna said, how that changes over time. And that's all I have to worry about, right? As my body changes, I get to express that with her. As her body changes, she expresses that with me. And that's really all that's it. And so giving people that freedom to just like, hey, this is just for y'all. It's for you to figure out together, and to be able to do that through continual conversation, right? Continual reflection is so key.